Alright, good evening folks. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site for legacy, death, and taxes. Today we are going to be testing the London Mulligan. It has come to Magic Online, and we're going to see how this actually impacts games. There's been a lot of talk about the London Mulligan. Now we get to see how it is working in practice. For anyone not familiar with the rule, I'm going to do something boring and read some Magic rule text, so bear with me, but I think this is important. 103.4. Each player draws a number of cards equal to their starting hand size, which is normally 7. A player who is dissatisfied with their initial hand may take a mulligan. First, the starting player declares whether they will take a mulligan. Then each other player in turn does the same. Once each player has made a declaration, all players who decided to take mulligans do so at the same time. To take a mulligan, each player shuffles the cards in their hand back into their library, draws a new hand of cards equal to their starting hand size, then puts a number of those cards onto the bottom of their library in any order equal to the number of times a player has taken a mulligan. Once a player chooses not to take a mulligan, the remaining cards become the player's opening hand, and that player may not take any further mulligans. This process is then repeated until no player takes a mulligan. A player can't take a number of mulligans greater than their starting hand size. In other words, rather than going down a card each time, you will draw back to 7, and then for each time you've mulliganed, you'll put a card on the bottom. So if you mull to 6, you draw 7 and put 1 on bottom. If you mull to 5, you draw 7 and then put 2 on the bottom. So there have, at least in the legacy context, there have been sort of like 2 big sort of hinge points of the discussion around the London Mulligan. The first is Chalice of the Void, the second is Grizzlebrand. Your chances of getting a turn 1 Chalice with this rule go up an absolutely huge amount. So I want to test that side of the equation tonight. Let's go and see how frequently I can actually get a turn 1 lock piece with this deck. I am not playing any warped version of Red Prison. I think there are a couple of small changes to be made in order to adapt this deck for the London Mulligan specifically, but I don't want to make this. I just want to play with a regular deck list that I've been mucking around with and see how this feels. There's really nothing special. This is very similar to what I played when I won that challenge a couple weeks ago. Since then, I think I've dropped a P&K and a Hanowar Garrison in the sideboard, as well as the Sulfur Elementals, to go and sneak some of the Fiery Confluences back into the main deck, and then make room for more Braids in the sideboard to go and deal with the Stoneforge Mystic package. We're coming off a hot 4-1 league with blue-white Rebels. That was a lot of fun. So we'll see how that goes. I expected nothing from that stream, and I got everything in return. I was really blown away by how good that Rebels deck ended up being. I'm also curious to see if we're going to encounter any bugs today. I've heard some terrible things about weird things happening already. Alright, so what do I do with this hand? I go turn 1 City, Spirit Guide, War Boss. Turn 2 not Chandra. I can curve. Alternatively, I can just turn 2 Chandra. I'm gonna keep this hand, but there's a very real possibility that I will just play a mountain, and that's all on turn 1. All right, so we're playing against Burn. Okay, Chrome Mox is a sweet draw. Like, that means I can just, like, turn 1 Chandra if I want. So I could go, like, City, Mox, Imprint, something, Chandra. But I will probably just, like, take it slightly slower than that and just go and produce a turn 2 Chandra. I think. So, like, now the War Boss on turn 1 is basically free. So I can go City, Mox, Imprint, Spirit Guide. That's 3 mana for War Boss. The next turn I can tap this for 2, play Mountain, play Chandra, kill this. I think I'm on board for that. I don't really want to throw away my Fiery Confluence to get more aggressive, because I think the closing power is going to be important. So now if I want, I can not lose a soul land and play Chandra. I think I'm okay doing so. I just kind of have to, like, decide, do I want to kill this? If I don't kill it, I might just lose it anyway. To, like, a Swift Spear attack plus pump. I can, like, leave this Goblin back and not attack as well. I think I'm okay with, like, losing my City of Traders here. And I think I'm just going to try to milk some damage out of this Chandra. And therefore not attack with the Goblin. If my opponent wants to get rid of the Chandra, I would like them to hemorrhage resources in order to do so. I will still chump block, because otherwise, like, a Lightning Bolt plus the Swift Spear hit will kill the Chandra. And this card sticking around is quite important. I will not cast Chrome Mox. And I'll cast a pair. There may be a world where I end up, like, Fiery Confluence sweeping the board and trying to ride the Chandra to victory. We'll kind of see what my opponent does here, how all in they go. A Pyrostatic Pillar. I don't care too much about that. And I think I'm okay with just, like, doing the chump here. Again. So if my opponent has Fire Blast and I do this for 2, I get super blown out. So I should probably, like, miss out on 2 points of damage in order to play this safe. I think I'm going to send this upstairs for mana efficiency. Now it's very likely that my opponent's Pyrostatic Pillar will just beat them. I'm not even going to play the Ancient Tomb. It just represents more damage to me from something like a Price of Progress. Don't need that at all. And our opponent scoops it up there. Wasn't really expecting to play against Burn today. So, Scab Clans are good. And we have a lot of bad cards. Like Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon, obviously, are both pretty weak. We don't really want to Ensnaring Bridge against them. I still need to close out the games. I will probably board in some number of Abrades to take care of opposing threats. And just to kind of like fill out the deck. It's just really a question of like how many Maguses am I willing to play versus how many cards that can't possibly deal damage am I willing to have in my deck. So obviously 1 to replace the Blood Moon is actively good. And then beyond that, it's just kind of a question of like how many of these can I afford to cut. I don't want too many Abrades, because there's a lot of hands the opponent can have where like they just entirely go to the face and it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Yes, you saw Burn with the London Mulligan active, which it seems like a weird time to be testing that deck, because, you know, my mind is that right now this is a like Grizzlebrand versus Chalice format. But, you know, here we are. So I think I'm going to swap out 1 and play 2 Abrades. Because, like, there's still some utility in my Magus turning my Ancient Tomb and City of Traders into, like, lands that don't hurt me or that don't disappear. So I think I'll call this good. Yeah, I think it's either 2-2 or 3-1 in favor of Abrade. Yeah, okay, Orem, let me adjust. I think it's Degenerate Graveyard-based deck versus Chalice. Alright, so we have Mountain, Chrome Mox, Imprint, something, and play turn 1 Trinisphere. So, this is a keep. Have not had to mulligan yet under the London Mulligan rule. Our opponent has mulligan to 6 cards, which is kind of weird because like they still have 7 in hand. All right, there we go. They have gone down a card. Nothing is wrong. All right, so we go land, Chromox. Go ahead and get rid of the Rabble Master here. And we're going to take the time to play the Trinisphere. So this means, like, for sure we get 1 turn off of our opponent not being able to do anything. Here's my plan. My plan is kill the Swift Spear here. And if opponent doesn't have a land, then Chandra lives. If opponent does have a land and they kill Chandra, then the Trinisphere is still around, and I'm just going to start crashing in with Hazaret. And I don't know that Burn can just, like, beat a Hazaret. I don't know that, like, that's realistically possible. I will not cast Simian Spirit Guide. And I think I just raced rather than play out the Chalice. Yeah, if I used the Chandra for mana, I could have Chaliced as well. Yeah, that was a strictly better line. 100% agree. I'm rusty, haven't played this deck in a few weeks. So on my side of the battlefield, I saw no changes from the London Mulligan rule. On my opponent's side, they took a Mulligan and got to look at one more card. Rebels ended up 4-1 magically. So I can turn one Chalice. I will be keeping this hand. And I think this is a hand where I'm just going to try to aggro my opponent out. Like, I'll turn one Chalice, and then I'm going to, like, plan on, like, Rabble into War Boss and just kill my opponent. Alright, so our opponent took a Mulligan. So Chandra is one of the best cards in the hand, obviously, like, as far as, like, overall power level in the deck goes. But I don't know that this game is going to go long enough where I am going to draw 2 lands. Hence the actions that I've taken here. Right, Stormy? We're getting real good at drawing nice opening hands with Red Prison, which is not where I've been. I've gotten just god-awful hands, mulls to 4 all the time with what I've been playing. It's just going to be a Baleful Strix. Oh, wow, is our opponent going to try to go off through the Chalice? Oh, it's Phoenix. We might still race them. So they hit me for 9. Yeah, so if they attack all out, they die. So they're going to have to hold some things back. This is going to be a close one. If they block both of the Rabble Masters, they're going to take 5. Potentially 6. If they take 5, I can just kill them with Confluence if I draw a land. Which I did. I will fold to a counterspell right here, but I'm not really expecting to play against a counterspell, so I think that's fine. Six damage to each opponent. All right. So that was close. Oh, I wouldn't necessarily call myself an alarmist, but I think for the first couple of days while everyone is going and testing, like, the fear of Grizzlebrand and Chalice of the Void is what the format is going to be centered around right now. So I haven't actually played against Phoenix a ton. I guess you bring in ley lines, even though they're kind of mediocre. Scabclimb Berserkers seem fine as well. I don't necessarily love the Blood Moons. Which I guess by extension means Magus of the Moon is probably somewhat mediocre. Yeah, okay. Like, Chandra is probably medium as well. I agree with that. I think Chandra is probably better than Blood Moon, though. Like, especially when I'm on the draw. I don't really see the whole Blood Moon thing working out. Like, just to talk general Red Prison strategy, a lot of times when your opponent is on a fast combo deck, Chandra is not where you want to be. You just want to try to get him dead with this sort of stuff. I do think it will affect Legacy. I think it will affect Legacy a lot. I don't know that it will be a bad thing, but given the power level of the format, it's a big change. And I think I'm okay with this here. Like, I think the fast linear combo decks, things like Dredge, Sneak and Show, Reanimator, benefit a lot from it. So this is one of those opportunities where, like, you make a choice about your hand. If I keep this, I'm just planning on going all in on damage and going turn 1 Rabblemaster into turn 2 Rabblemaster and hoping to race their combo potential. Which I think is fine. But I could see someone throwing back this hand. The thing about Red Prison hands is a lot of times, like, you sculpt a plan with your opening hand, and your opening hand usually can't beat everything. In fact, it's often weak to many things. But if you have a plan, it's usually okay. So, of note, I think our opponent is on the Phoenix Storm hybrid deck, since we saw the Cabal ritual. So that means it's a little bit worse at both halves of the equation. And Sandstone X-Ray, sorry I missed your question from before. Yes, Phoenix is the real deal in Legacy. There's multiple archetypes around it. It is a great card. Relatively speaking, though, the archetype is... should say the archetypes are still young and still need some refinement. But Phoenix is a real strategy that I currently probably consider like tier 1.5. But I think it has the potential to grow. Yeah, Stormy. So it's decks like the ones that I mentioned before, like Red Prison, like Reanimator, like Dredge, that they only need 1 or 2 cards to really like pop off and do their thing. And it's those sorts of decks that can abuse this rule. Is Goblins tier 2? I think that might be a little generous. And I don't say that as someone who is like a Goblins hater or anything, but I think the the deck's viability has been on the lower side for quite some time. Which is, like, sad because I like the deck. I think Dredge can be hated on harder than Red-Black Reanimator. I think Red-Black Reanimator is pretty resilient. Is white card playable? I mean, I'm sure you can guess, like, how many messages I've gotten this week along those sorts of lines. It's a lot. Like, every time there's, like, some mono-white or, like, white X card this week, someone's asked me about it. Yeah, so this is your chance to go off. Can you do it? So, like, in my experience of playing Dredge, a lot of times I lost to a single hate card. And I certainly lost to the second hate card. But with Reanimator, between, like, the discard and, like, your Reverent Silence, Nature Claim, whatever you're doing, I feel like you have much better game against, like, most hate. Ooh, we're on an Echoing Truth Lotus Petal line to build Storm. Three cards left. Not sure what those cards need to be here. There's only been one cantrip played this game. An Ad Nause from 9 would be loose. A Past in Flames kill isn't really viable yet. We're not close enough to Natural Tendrils. I'm still at 16. Or I guess, like, Rit Tendrils would exactly do it, right? Storm count 7. Okay, and Empty the Warrens. Okay, how does this math work out? So, if I play Legion Warboss, I am creating... Okay, so anything I play has to attack. If I attack in with everything right now, my opponent can go, like, chump, chump, take 3, 4, 5, 6, crack me back for 12, which will not quite be lethal. So in order to, like, try to whittle them down and force the chump blocks, I probably have to, like, play the Warboss and attack with everything. I wish I could do it without tapping this Ancient Tomb. But that's not the world that I live in. I also can't hold back any Rabble Masters because they have to go and attack each turn. I can hold back the Warboss in future turns, though. Goblin Mirror getting complicated up in here. So my board currently beats their board, but if they start drawing random Phoenixes or something off the top, I will be a sad boy. A Fiery Confluence off the top would be insane. Another Goblin token producer would be great. A Chalice or Trinisphere would be pretty insane. Honestly, even something like a Simian Spirit Guide isn't the worst. Nice! Nice! Alright, so 1 damage to each creature. I don't want to try to destroy target artifact because my opponent can sacrifice it and fizzle my spell. So 1 damage to each creature, 4 damage to each opponent. Golgari Graveboy, your confusion is a sign of actually understanding what's going on, actually. Because this is a hybrid deck that is half Ant, half Phoenix. Dark Ritual, cast a Phoenix to block. Okay, so you can make a bunch of goblins again. I don't know that that's going to win out long term. But it's a thing. So a Fiery Confluence off the top is death. A Chandra is death. Oh, wow, going for a Preordain here. What does that do? Oh, yikes. That's lucky. And unfortunate for me. I would like to concede. Please let me concede. Alright. So I don't think I'm going to change anything for being on the play here. Like, I could, like, try to Blood Moon them, but I don't really think that's necessary. Like, on the play, like, maybe the other Blood Moon is better than the Chandra. But I'm not sure about that. I don't know that I want to play more than 1 Blood Moon, though. Like, I could board out the Hazoret just to, like, get some of the clunk down. But I think my, like, primary way of winning is just going to be, like, damage with these guys after playing a lock piece. It's a little weird, like, normally against Ant, I'll keep the Blood Moons because I don't play Ley Lines, but I think since they're this, like, Ant-Phoenix hybrid, it's actually worth playing these. Yeah, I think, like, the Blood Moons on the play are close with these cards. Like, Blood Moon is not a winner. But if I turn 1 it, cool. Is a turn 2 Trinisphere good enough? Yeah, honestly, it is. Like, it's a turn 2 Trinisphere, and our opponent, like, can't just discard away both of them. It's not like they're going to Cabal Therapy Trinisphere blind or anything. I was really, like, looking forward to trying out the London Mulligan, but turns out my opening hands are just great. Like, the only sort of thing that can beat us is, like, Dark Ritual, Buried Alive, Lotus Petal, plus other spell. Yeah, see, like, this is the sort of hand that we just, like, beat doing what we're doing here. In before they, like, surgically extract. Yikes. So this buys a lot of time, and now we have like the clock to back it up. I'm very happy with our positioning. The second Rabble Master off the top was a blessed draw. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, there are still things that can go wrong. You know, we can still see, like, End of Turn, Echoing Truth, Bounce, Trinisphere, get me. But there's been no manipulation spells cast this game yet. Ooh, yeah, 3 mana Ponder. Sounds good. Note, opponent is already at 14. They've fetched twice and Thought Seized. So this is going to go quickly. Jeez. I don't even really know what they're supposed to do now. Like, it would cost 3 mana to bounce or get rid of this Trinisphere, and then they'd have to, like, go off from 2 life while probably just winning this turn. I find it unlikely. Yep, there we go. We're just going to, like, make it through this league without mulliganing. We're not going to even see if the London Mulligan actually exists, other than by evidence on the other side of the battlefield. So, Vic, I don't know if you were here for the very beginning of the stream, but this is the deck list that I've been playing recently. I think it's almost identical to what you've been playing, or at least one of your recent finishes with the deck. Like, I did the, like, snow-covered mountain split, but otherwise, I think you and I are either very close or almost identical. I just wanted consistency in my deck, and Stoneforge has been obnoxious, hence, like, the Confluence is back in the Mage. Alright, so we're playing against Bosch and Roll. Yeah, this hand's good. So I think they're a Miracles player. Let me go ahead and pitch the Confluence here. I want to Chalice on 1, and I want to not play the City of Traders on 1, so that I can go and just, like, have 4 mana around for things like Chandra in the future. Force pitch Spell Pierce. I mean, we don't want to maul. We're prepared for it when it happens. Yeah, Vic, I'm with you. So, normally, in terms of math, you want to lead with Rabble Master first. But if you expect your opponent is like a blue-white X deck that can just go and answer it quickly, then it's better to lose the War Boss first. Golgari Grave Boy, it's a weird question. Alright, so it's not actually Miracles. So, like, versus Delver, in game one, you don't really have very much removal to take their stuff off of the board, but you get more free wins. And then in the post-sideboard games, you have more removal. And so, like, I'm a little bit more comfortable overall with some of those situations. It also kind of depends on which Delver variant you're talking about. Sort of an interesting thing here. I can just go and attack with 3 goblins and then play a post-combat Rabblemaster rather than a pre-combat one. That way I don't risk losing a Rabblemaster to a Young Pyromancer this turn. But honestly, I think I'd be okay with making the trade. So I am going to play this out. The unfortunate thing is that, like, if they force or daze, then I might run into a situation where they brainstorm and then I lose a Rabblemaster to tokens instead, which is not where I want to be. Oh, thank God. I was really worried about just, like, brainstorm, lose a Rabble there. We're probably very favored to win now, even if our opponent, like, lightning bolts and answers the Rabblemaster or something. Nice. So we'll hit for 3 this turn and every turn that follows, and I'll probably just send this Fiery Confluence upstairs more or less immediately. Like, I don't want to, like, lose my city to the Wasteland and then, like, lose the opportunity to play this. Six damage to each opponent. Opponent kind of lacking in the time department to find answers here. Alright. So, am I just okay with attacking in for 2? If I attack in for 2, then next turn I can also attack in for 2. So basically, any turn that the opponent misses on doing something is just a turn where I am closer and closer to victory. Alright, so did we see any non-blue-red stuff? No? So I guess I should just assume this is straight blue-red Delver. Could be Grixis. I don't think that's, like, really going to be a distinction that matters. Ugh. Like, I'm probably going to want Abrades and Bridges. So, Bridge is not, like, stellar in the matchup or anything. Like, I'm not super excited about that card. but you need it to beat True Name Nemesis. That card is very, very frequently obnoxious and quite difficult to beat. I've gone back and forth on how I want to sideboard for this matchup a lot. I think the straight Blood Moons aren't particularly good. On the draw, bring in Scab Clans to overload the removal. That's an interesting idea. So, like, what are you cutting then when you're doing that? It's like I usually like cut my moon effects. We're 2-0 and up a game, Orem. Like, I usually cut my moon effects and then trim. Like, sometimes I'll trim the Trinispheres when I'm on the draw, despite the fact that they're good because my opponent's getting out ahead of me. So, like, yeah, I think this is reasonable. Like, also just, like, if you can get Bridge plus Scab Clan Berserker, that's an okay win condition as well. Like, glacially slow because, like, they'll stop playing things, but not unreasonable. This also means when you're on the draw, you mulligan a little bit less aggressively for a turn 1 hate piece. Well, this is an interesting hand. So I can go land, Chrome Mox, Imprint, Petal, and turn 1 Bridge or War Boss. If our opponent doesn't have, like, a counter spell, then the Bridge sticking early means that, like, Bridge plus Hazaret is an okay recipe. I think this is a keep. Despite the fact that it might look a little bit medium. Like, the next card is really going to determine how aggressive I get to be with this hand. Well, okay. So now I won't play the Bridge turn 1. So I'll go land, Petal, Chrome Mox, and I think I just want to try to play 3 drops on back-to-back turns, so I'm going to pitch Hazaret, despite the fact that it's, like, a very good card in the context of this hand. I'm going to play the Scab Clan out first, since if it doesn't get counterspelled, it will take some extra damage on the way out if it just gets, like, lightning bolted or something. Force Pitch is its Staticaster. Alright, that Staticaster is a very important thing to know about. I think their hand is light on blue cards. I bet they have a handful of, like, Lightning Bolts and Young Pyromancers and such. That's my current evaluation of this situation. Oh god! Rug Delver? Or is this just, like, a one-of card to flashback an Ancient Grudge or something? So the other things that could just be in their hand are just counter spells. But I don't think it's Daze. Could be Spell Pierce. But I would be totally fine with trading a Spell Pierce for a Chandra, so I am going to go ahead and play this out. Yep. The reason being that if something goes wrong and we need this bridge, it's just more likely to resolve later. Oh, well, there we go. You know, I really enjoy leagues with Red Prison where I don't just play against Stoneforge Mystic every round. That's how my last two big events with Red Prison have been. I played in a challenge and just went Stoneforge, 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 and I dropped. And then I played in the Legacy Quarterly, and that was a disaster. It was I forget exactly, but I think I played Blue-White Delver twice, which is a really rough matchup, and I gave up. But when you just get paired against decent matchups, or even matchups, I'm so happy to be playing Red Prison. But the matchups that are bad are extremely unfavored. Still haven't pitched a hand tonight. Yeah, my experience being on both sides is that, if both players are competent, D&T comes out so far ahead, it's ridiculous. You just have so many things to worry about, and, you can only draw a Fiery Confluence to save your ass so many times. So I was thinking about making some small changes in respect to the London Mulligan. I was considering dropping one bridge or one Abrade to play a 5th Graveyard Hate spell, or a 5th Combo Hate card of some nature. I don't know if it's necessarily supposed to be something like Scab Clan 4, because the red-red is awkward. But I kind of want one more combo hate card in here. I think I can trend away from some of this fair stuff for the next couple of days. I'd also consider cutting the Hazoret to just play one more 3-drop threat. No, Tybalt, I have not even mulliganed yet this league. So, yeah, everything's hunky-dory as far as I know. But I saw a clip from Honorog's stream earlier where he, restarted the game after mulliganing. Not excited about this hand. I'd much prefer to just play a threat on turn 1. Or, have something to do on turn 1. But, this is a very quick goldfish. Against a non-combo hand, or sorry, against a non-combo deck, this is fine. Against a combo deck, this is not fast enough. Let me see if I have any data on my opponent. Shoo, 555. Last seen playing Reanimator. Before that, played a bunch of Delver. So this is bad against Reanimator, acceptable versus Delver. I'm going to ship it. I'm going to keep this hand. And so now I get to get rid of one of these cards, and it's actually like... Oh, I have to click on one now. I see. I think this is the weakest card, objectively speaking. And I already have a redundancy effect in the Blood Moon. I don't know what I'm going to play on turn 1. Suspend Ancestral Visions. So I should probably just moon my opponent. Like, there is a very good chance that they will just fold to the moon. This can also just, like, get a Force of Will, in which case I can just try to follow up with Rabblemaster next turn and just kill them before this vision goes off. Yeah, it seems to be an indicator that we're playing against Shardless Bug. Yikes. Red source. That works. So I need to close this game out, or I need to get a lock piece. I don't have a lot of time. I think if my opponent gets to draw those 4 cards before I do something else that matters, I probably won't win. Sure, but I think it was correct to ship the Magus to, like, leave myself with the greatest number of options. So, I will probably put this on 0 to counter the Ancestral Visions, rather than put this on 1 to counter all of the, like, things like Brainstorm and Ponder, Fatal Push, things of that nature. It's annoying that the Rabblemaster is just walled by this Sharkless Agent. I'm going to do something that looks kind of weird and actually trade the Rabblemaster here. I know this looks really bad, but I want to keep my top decks live, and I want the future, like, goblins that I can produce to be getting in. I don't think attacking for 1 a turn through this is going to actually get me anywhere. And I'm going to play this out on 0 this turn. It will give my opponent, like, the knowledge that it's coming, but I don't want this to get, like, hemmed away or something. Got him. Man, so good I played. Good on me for playing this out. Feel very happy about my play this game. Like, you know, assuming this resolves, the exact scenario I talked about where, you know, now my future Goblin tokens are getting through, that's happening as well. Yeah, you know, you make your own luck, right? Like, if you play towards situations where you can get a payoff like that, then when you actually go and get into those situations, you do get the payoff. Also, I don't think I've ever played this exact matchup before. Just to throw that out there. Shardless Bug has not been popular in a couple of years, and I've mostly played Red Prison in the last year and a half. Oh man, opponent's super fucked up. They didn't fetch prior to, like, doing this, so they can't actually cast this spell. So I can attack them for 2 here. I'm fine with just, like, continuing to stay the aggressor. Like, anything that gets them closer to death means that, like, these lands that are on the table get shut off. Like, assuming they don't play another creature, if I just attack in for, like, 1 more point of damage, then I've essentially double sinkholed them. Alright, so the Misty Rainforest on table is now dead. An opponent will be dead to any goblin producer. Or that. Alright, boss, that's fair. Yeah, we should call it Stone Rain. Yeah, Vic, I've drawn well today, right? Like, absolutely no questions about that. Okay, so again, I want to reiterate that I have not played this matchup before. I've played against plenty of bug mid-range decks, but not Shardless specifically. So a lot of times against the bug decks, I'll end up boarding out Chalice, because I think just putting them on 1 is sort of mediocre. But here, like, putting it on 0 at a critical time and stopping an Ancestral from coming off is pretty big game. Yeah, Max, this is a sideboard that Vic and I separately have both been playing, and I think it's very good. It's possible that, like, in the meta moving forward, I will trim these numbers to 3 and try out some more anti-combo hate stuff or something like that, but, like, generally speaking, I really like what's here. Opponent is basically talking about how it's the Wild West right now, and, like, everything's a little bit crazy. Honestly, I don't even know that I'm going to sideboard. Like, I don't want to abrade any of their stuff. Bridge is okay versus Goyf, but, like, bad against the rest of their deck. Scab Clan, like, until it gets, what is it, renowned? Until it gets renowned, it just gets walled by the 2/2s. I think I whacked the submit button. I might play Scab Clans when I'm on the play. But, like, what would I cut? My cards are so good. Like, first world problems right here. I will whack the keep button on this hand. Oh, our opponent has Mulligan to 5. Lord Darkview, stream's going very well. We're 3-0 and in a favorable matchup right now. We have not Mulliganed yet. All right. I don't think I want to pitch a card to Chrome Mox. I think I just want to, like, play with the cards that I have access to. Yeah, 3-0 in an hour. It's been going well. So, like... Oh, yeah, sorry, we did take 1 mulligan. Golgar Graveboy, I'm unsure if we're going to Chalice into Trinisphere or just, like, play a Rabble Master to have a clock. If our opponent plays a creature that is just going to, like, block the Rabble Master, then I probably will play the Trinisphere. It'll suck because, like, I'll be on the negative side of the life total equation, though. I really wish I had played Trinisphere on turn, or City of Traders on turn 1, given this hand. Alright, so they are down to, like, just a Tarmogoyf. We can probably just race that with what I have access to. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can potentially just play 2 cards this turn if I am willing to give up one of them. I don't love playing the Magus into, like, open Abrupt Decay mana. This pause here probably tells me that my opponent has, like, an Abrupt Decay and they're thinking about what they want to do with it. Yeah, that seems correct to me. Definitely rewarded for my decision to, like, not play the Magus into that. So currently, as things stand, I am attacking for 1 damage a turn. Double Chromox here was pretty rough. If I were the opponent here, I'd pretty heavily consider turning my creatures sideways. Yikes. So I need to cast this so that I can have something that can jump block the Tarmogoyf if it comes in. So our opponent was on a low mulligan, and like luckily got to play ignoring this Chalice. I mean, there are still worlds where we can win this, right? Come on, Fiery Confluence. That is not Fiery Confluence. Our goblins all have to attack. Golgari Great Boy, absolutely. Allurin's fun. I actually owned that deck in paper for a little while. I didn't play it much, but that was mostly because when I wanted to play something of that nature, I usually played Food Chain. Because Mist Hollow Griffin is the frickin' unbeatable Magic card. Yeah, so like I can still draw Confluence here and be okay. So now I have to block both things. Which means I want to throw the goblins away. This is not a line I've taken much. But the second main phase Rabblemaster sort of like allows you to not attack with the goblins each turn. Well, Lord Darkview, this puts me still in the same situation where if I top deck Confluence, I've still got it. So now I don't have 7 damage. Unfortunately. But I still get another turn to draw it. Somehow, magically. Unless our opponent has Force of Will. In which case I die immediately. Nope. Still playing Magic. I'm still playing Magic! How am I still alive? I'm in Walked Airplane, I'm with you. This will be a really satisfying win, though, if it happens. I still think I probably just whacked the submit button, despite the fact that, like, Chalice is kind of medium in the matchup. Goif's really good against us, but I still really don't know if it's actually enough to like want to bring in Bridge. Gogari Great Boy, if you want to do it by ticks, yes, I can just take ticks via Moto. That'd be fine. If you want to like do that after this game, if you're online now, that'd be fine. Otherwise, if you just want to do like PayPal or something, my information is below the stream. Okay, yeah, we can do it after this game. I think I'm going to ship this one in order to try to do something better on turn 1. Like a turn 2 Rabble Master that costs me an extra card is not necessarily something I want to do when I can't do a turn 3 follow-up play. Whereas a turn 1 Blood Moon followed by a turn 2 Magus, if that doesn't work, is much better. I will keep this. This is a great example of how powerful the London Mulligan can be for this deck. And we'll be sending a Legion War boss away. I'm used to like getting a bigger prompt than this. Sorry, that was just on me for being slow. So our opponent mulliganed to 6. Let's see if they kept a Force of Will. They did. Cost them 2 cards, though. And on a mull to 6, you know, that is somewhat devastating. So they get to pick one of their colors and get them. Wow! All right. All right. That's about the best possible situation you could hope for against Red Prison is a double, like, Force of Will opener. That's really annoying. That's really annoying. Their hand was insane. Like, Tarmogoyf is the best threat in their deck against me, and they had that with double Force of Will. Like, definitely clear the other side of the London Mulligan here. So I'm actually kind of okay with where things are at. So would I be okay trading Rabble for Leo? I'd rather trade it for Tarmogoyf if possible. Like, if opponent blocks with the Tarmogoyf, and I get to kill the Tarmogoyf, I'll be ecstatic about everything that's going on. I can, like, play Chandra plus Chandra. Chump block the Tarmogoyf if it attacks in and try to, like, brute force my way out of this situation. What does my opponent do if I attack? Like, I'm in such a good position if they block with the Tarmogoyf. I think the scenarios that are best for me are the scenarios where my opponent messes up and attacks with or blocks with the Tarmogoyf here. So I'm going to go ahead and, like, take this spot to take a risk. And if I just trade Rabble for Leo, like, I accept the 1-for-1. Alright, Golgari Great Boy, I got it. Do you have a specific deck list you want to see? Or is it just, like, whatever? So this can't actually kill the Goyf. And I don't think that it's worth playing out for 2 damage. Like, alternatively, I can think of it as, like, gaining 5 life. I'm going to put the Lotus Petal into play and pass the turn. I think I've lost this one. No, Bridge is in the sideboard. It's only good against Tarmogoyf, which our opponent had after Double Force. Why don't you Gmail it to me? That's fine. Or if you just want to post a link in chat here, I can just grab it that way. I'm gonna go ahead and pass here. I don't want to take any damage off this Ancient Tomb until I have to. This is kind of the have-to turn. Let's see if our opponent doesn't notice that I'm at 6 life now. They saw the line. So I think that matchup was good, and I was on the wrong side of variance there. Like, I definitely felt great about that hand. I felt great about that set more generally. I played well. I really fought for the win in game 2 there, but it just did not pan out. Like, I had so many draws for Confluence there. Like, about the only decision that could have changed the course of that was, like, my Mulligan decision in game 1, but I won that game anyway, so that's a wash. Walked Airplane. Sample size too small to comment. Like, I've only mulliganed twice in 4 matches, so. Well, this hand is great. I've got turn 1, 3 mana thing, turn 2, 3 mana thing. Or wait, do I have turn 2, 3 mana thing? Yeah, so I go 1, 2, 3. And then, yeah. Alright, so, like, based on what I've seen so far, the chances of me having a strong playable hand, like, over the course of, like, however many mulligans I take, seems like it will be very high. Alright. This could be Delver, could be, like, Sneak and Show. So I think I'm going to go land, Chromox. I'm going to imprint a Spirit Guide, I think. Actually, maybe I'm supposed to imprint the Moon. I'm going to imprint the Moon. And then I'm going to play the Chalice. So the reason why I'm going to do this is so that if my opponent spell pierces, I can totally fucking get him. Game on, sir! What you got, Merlin? If you're blue-red Delver, you're pretty dead. I mean, you're not supposed to petrify. Like, if they got it, they got it. Force, Pitch, Fluster. So this actually might be Sneak? Is blue-red Delver on Fluster? Yeah, Lord Darkview, I agree. That seems like a card that they just drew now. We've got a quick Goldfish, regardless. If they're Sneak, like, we just need to dodge, like, Soul Land, Show and Tell, herpa-derpa-derpa-derp. Which it looks like we did not do. Alright. Do you have it? Please draw more cards. Please draw more cards. Please draw. Yes. Now don't have Emrakul. Because I win if you don't have Emrakul. Probably. Alright, they might get themselves out of this. We'll see. If they have another Grizzlebrand, they can sneak attack it. Yep. So then they can go up to 9. They can draw 7 again if they want. So, they're essentially praying for Emrakul. So how much damage do I have on board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I have 9 damage on board. Like, life is weird right now. So unfortunately, my goblin tokens that I make have to attack. So what I know is that currently they don't have Emrakul. So if I attack in with everything... Well, I mean, like, attacking in with everything is just better than attacking in with just 2 goblins. because it means I get to, like, take back some amount of that life. Ugh. Yeah. So we kind of end up in the same position we were at the beginning of the turn, minus a war boss. But opponent gets to, like, draw 14 cards in order to find an Emrakul. Considering, like, how much of their deck they've gone through, it's just very likely that they draw one. Sneak and Show is a very bad matchup, though. Nope, they still don't have one. Wow. Just wow. Why did you need to play another Grizzlebrand to do that? Alright, so I like the Scab Clans to just do damage quickly. I like Ensnaring Bridge to stop the sort of shenanigans that we just saw there. So a lot of times I just board out my moon effects in matchups like these. So, like, I strip out the Blood Moons and the Magus of the Moons. Oh, well, Neckfire, welcome. Glad to have you live. So, like, basically, the moon effects can just be ignored. It slows them down a little. Like, they can't get just, like, the turn 2 kills, but... Or I guess they still can with Lotus Petal, but, like, this isn't really where you need to be. If I were going to pick a combo deck to play against Red Prison, or in a metagame full of Red Prison, Sneak and Show would be the one. So I go Mountain, Chrome Mox, Imprint Confluence, Chalice into turn 2 Scab Clan. Ship, not good enough. I don't know that I agree with you. Like, I think I'm okay with the plan of, like, Chalice into Scab Clan. I think we have to hope for the scenarios where, like, a Chalice matters. Yes, Chalice is medium versus Sneak and Show decks. Like, it's a totally reasonable card. I think I'm going to actually lead on Chalice off Ancient Tomb. Because maybe there's some world where I want to have this Fiery Confluence as a finisher, and I can see if I draw a worse card next turn. This is a tough turn. Because Rabble Master is like potentially the faster unchecked clock. But Scab Clan is closer to a hate card. I think I'm supposed to play Rabble this turn. Yes, this is Magic the Chalicing. How do they just, like, always have it? Every time I play this deck, they just have it. Are we dead, though? I don't know that we're dead. We might be able to beat this Grizzlebrand. Yes, yes. All is according to plan. Alright. So we go land. Chromox. Imprint the War Boss. Fiery Confluence. And attempt to deal 3 to each creature to kill the Grizzlebrand. Like, it sucks because we hemorrhage cards to do this. And, like, we fold pretty hard to a Force of Will. I mean, Petrify, if I was on their side of the table, I probably would have blocked the Scab Clan Berserker, personally. Like, A, to play around this, and B, because I think Scab Clan is scarier at this point. It is also possible that, like, in the cards that they've gotten, they will just be able to combo off again, unfortunately. But there's not much I can do about that. The matchup's just abysmal. Oh man, please just discard 10 cards. I'd be such a happy boy. Sure. I know we're alive at 1, but we're not actually alive. Alright, let's keep playing. I'm not satisfied with the tail end of that league after the start of that. Y'all get a double tonight. These go real quick anyway. Well, I'll be keeping this hand. Oh god, it's gonna be Stoneblade. I guess I should go Petal, Chromox, Imprint, Spirit Guide, City, and either Chandra or Moon. I'm going to try to Moon here. If by some miracle my opponent doesn't have an island in hand already, I'll be happy. And if they tap out for a Stoneforge, I can use Chandra to kill it. Alright, thanks for sticking around. Yeah. This is why I hate playing against this deck. Oh, never mind, it's not just a Stoneforge. Hot damn. I am still in the game. So a True Name Nemesis might be coming. Like, that's kind of the worst case scenario, is a, like, opponent has another island and True Name. But I guess I have to play towards them not having that by playing out the Rabblemaster. I don't mind playing against Sneak and Show. Like, it's a sucky matchup for this deck in particular, but generally speaking, I think games against Sneak and Show can be pretty interesting. Draw Step, Swords to Plowshares. Sure. Don't pierce me. Don't do it. Yeah, like, the Sneak and Show mirror is abysmal, right? Because if you're not the one with Omniscience, you feel pretty bad about everything. Like, you can only cast a Show and Tell if you have Omniscience. Because if the other person just puts an Emrakul and they get the first attack, you lose. I wish I could cast Trinisphere. That's not in the cards. Alright, a Snapcaster Mage is annoying, but, like, not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. So how much is this? It's -4. This is a weird spot. So, like, I can minus the Chandra, try to get them to use both of their Jitte counters to save their Snapcaster Mage. Then play another Chandra and kill the Snapcaster, and then get in with the Goblin. And then if they don't have yet another Snapcaster, I end up pretty far ahead. Or I can just try to extract value out of the Chandra, and then hope that my opponent uses... Alright. Let's try to clear the board. I don't actually know how many Snapcasters my opponent is playing. Of course. Of course. Now there's just going to be like a True Name Nemesis played. Oh, that's really frustrating. Nope. Okay. Well, things are going better than expected then. One destroy target artifact. Yeah, that's a main deck Path to Exile. I just assume it's the 5th Swords to Plowshares more so than anything else. New Mulligan rule is interesting, but again, you know, this is the first night that it's out on Moto, so sample size is very small. Well, I guess I could have played around that a little better than I did by tapping my Chrome Mox. Initial thoughts are somewhat positive, but I've taken very few mulligans in the games that I've played tonight. So we need a Braids to answer Equipment. We need an Ensnaring Bridge to go and answer True Name Nemesis. So we have a lot of weak cards in the matchup. The Blood Moon effects are relatively weak, and like the Goblin Rabblemaster and Legion Warboss effects are also a little bit risky because they're very bad against Batterskull specifically. So like you kind of end up in one of these spots where a lot of your cards are very bad and you have to make some choices. Usually when I'm on the draw, I will just like cut all of this stuff so I don't just auto-fold to Stoneforge Mystic. And then sometimes when I'm on the play, I'll take a more aggressive stance on things. Yes, Arc Lightning, most certainly. So like, I got a donation tonight. The next stream will be with Alurin. That will probably end up being next Monday night because I'm going out of town over the weekend. I'm going to Richmond. I have no acceleration with this hand. I'm going to try to find something that's a little bit faster. I will be keeping this hand. And I think I'll be sending away my Fiery Confluence, since I don't have access to double red currently. I keep thinking I'm going to get a prompt for this. I'm so used to like waiting for old Mulligan things. Yeah, this is a very good defensive hand. I have no killing ability at the moment, but I have a lot of hate cards. Look, you can't have it all. I don't like how much damage I'm probably going to end up doing to myself over the course of this game. So opponent probably has like a true name in hand, given that line of like, click. Sure, you can click me. If you take an Abrade, I still have one left. And I think they do take an Abrade. No. Alright. That seems a little weird to me. Been chalicing decently hard. I'm going to play out the city here, even though it means I'm going to lose it at some point. But playing out the city probably like saves me 3-ish life in the long run. Or, sorry, 4-ish life in the long run. Nice. This is actually relatively convenient, because it means I can hold up the Abrade. Please don't have a Snapcaster. Good. Just gonna like put them to the test with this, like make them have another counterspell. They do. Yeah, that's an acceptable draw. It means the true name probably has to go back on defense right now. It's possible that I should have like waited on playing that until I got one more attack in, but I don't think like I just wanted to get that card resolved. Like I don't want to give them time to find more forces. Oh, well, this is insane. So we can put this on 2 to stop like a disenchant or a snapcaster mage ambush later on. It does shut off my own abrade, so I probably should have thought about that a touch longer before doing it. Yep, we're just gonna die to True Names with our opponent at 1. I mean, but I already had a Chalice on 1. So when I'm on the play, I can consider playing some amount of my aggressive creatures to just try and close out the game. I don't know that it's like still correct to, but I can just like try to get my opponent with a quick rabble kill. I do think that like a bridge is your best way to win the game. But as we saw there, like just chip damage with like a Magus or a Simian Spirit Guide is totally fine if your opponent can't do too much. I think I'm just going to submit as is. Losing to True Name is just like such a disheartening thing. So I turn 1 Moon, then I turn 2 Abrade. Now, this hand is not stellar. Like I'd much rather do something other than Blood Moon on turn 1. Like I'd rather Chalice on 1. I'd rather Trinisphere on 1, and I think the rest of this hand is not bad but awkward. I guess if I drag the game long, then like I have the tools to succeed. I think it's a keep. I want to throw it back, but I think it's correct to keep. Like, I've got the turn 1 hate card that I can play. Like, that's what you want to do with this deck. It's one of the weaker hate cards for this matchup, but it is what it is. Highland Ponder. Hurrah. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you in that, like, this is the best case scenario for Moon. It's just unfortunate that, like, this sort of thing can happen. So rather than take out the stone forge, I'm going to, like, take out the piece of equipment. Because I don't actually care about the stone forge. I can mop it up with a fiery confluence later if I need to. Super punish for not doing so by drawing the 4th land, but I don't think I'm in any hurry to win this one. My opponent doesn't have blue mana. Oh wow, they're just passing the turn. In which case, I will force the issue. Wow. So am I just getting, like, ghosted and they know exactly what's up? Because it kind of feels like it. So I think I want to win via Chandra Ultimate. So I think I'm going to start by plussing this, see what I get. The Chalice is great. Let's cast that. No, I don't actually know if my opponent is ghosting. It was more of a statement of curiosity more so than anything else. Like, I think it's very possible to get the read that they did. So I'm just kind of like thinking about what I want to do this turn. Like, I can blow up a Jitte just as a safety net so they can't gain life, probably without costing myself very much. So 2 confluences in a row, assuming they dissolve, is 6, 12, it's like 22. So if I take 2 damage off of that, it's actually fine. My opponent has started complaining about the number of basic lands in their deck. About how they're not drawing them, even though they started with 1. Yeah, so like at that point, I think the only way they get out of that is by having a recursive source of life gain, and like bridge and Jitte, like with the bridge there and with the Jitte gone, I don't think they're going to set that up. Good stuff. Happy to win that one. I'm not like visibly happy or anything because like it wasn't like fun and interesting Magic at all. But, you know, scoreboard. Hey, what was Shu playing from the last league? Because I know we played them. Was it Reanimator? I think this was the Reanimator player. Confirmation? Anyone in chat who was here long enough? Was Shu Reanimator? I'm pretty sure. But not 100%. Oh, he's a Shardless Bug player? Crap. Regardless, I'd like to get something that can just, like, Blood Moon on, like, turn 1. So I think I'm okay taking another mulligan in order to, like, go and do that. So I could keep 5 of these. So I could keep, like, land, Chrome Mox, and 2 cards. Not in love with that. Chip it. Keep 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn 1 Blood Moon. Go all in on it. Yeah. I'll put back. I can also go all in on turn 1 Trinisphere. So put back Confluence, Chalice. I think I go all in on the turn 1 Moon. So that was a mold of 4 where we produced a turn 1 Blood Moon. That's something you can't really consistently do prior to the London Mulligan. So, like, that is big game. This is, like, the first, like, very decisive change from the traditional Mulligan to the London Mulligan that we've seen so far on the stream. So Chimera, that's a great example of the difference between new and old Mulligan rules, like this scenario that just happened. I'm going to go ahead and cast a Lotus Petal for 3 mana. Don't judge me. I know what I'm about. This will let me play a Confluence or a Chandra if I draw one, or a Hazoret. Hey! Speak of the devil, and he will appear to do 5 damage every turn. Please don't force. Don't do it. Aww. That's okay. They had to have something over there, to be fair. Again. Again. That's okay. I'll whittle you down. Get you in the morale. We're now at the point where we're playing 4 drops around something like a Spell Pierce. So that's nice. I would love to cast Rabblemaster, but I only have 2 mana. Bear with 2 guns. I'm not 100% sure what fetching the swamp indicates either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I could just cast this. It would mean throwing away my Lotus Petal in order to cast the War Boss this turn, but that's okay. Like, the Simian Spirit Guide should be worth more than the 2 damage that I would be getting off the Chandra trigger. Everything seems fine on my end, but I'm just talking here, so what do I know? So against Chalice before, don't think I actually boarded anything. I think I just whacked the submit button. I can produce a turn 1 moon effect, so I'll keep this. I think this is a weak hand, though. Like, if my opponent has Mulligan towards a force, I'm going to, like, really feel the first force effect, or the first card that trades with me. And now I can't even rabble on turn 1, unless I draw a red card. Well, I mean, I go for it. I'm not sure what it means that they didn't take the Magus from that hand. I don't know if it just means they have another basic, or if they have a removal spell for it. But I'll find out. Before doing anything else, though, I will just play another Magus. I hope I'm not just, like, running into Toxic Deluge. There we go. Toxic Deluge was something that it made sense for them to have there, but I don't think I'm supposed to play around it. Like, it's going to be a 1 or a 2 of in their deck. And I think I'd much rather play around something like a removal spell to the best of my ability. I mean, I will gladly take a land over the Spirit Guide. Like, that's fine. Yeah, we're not here to play around stuff. We're here to do sweet things, and if it doesn't work, die. This is a Tarmogoyf if I'm in trouble. No, just a Strix. That's fine. Again, we can mop all this stuff up with a Fiery Confluence if we stop drawing Chrome Moxen. The secret is, I am a Moon Stompy player. I don't just play one on stream. I guess I'll keep this Lotus Petal in hand. Like, if I cause them to hymn me rather than keep a hymn for a Brainstorm or something, I think that's an all-out win in my book. Leovold, Jace. I think that Jace is just supposed to look at my top card and then leave it there if it's at all. Well, can't win like that. I don't know why you would, like, not Thoughtseize prior to combat, like, get maximum amount of information. But, you know, here we are. We will once again whack the submit button, making no changes to this deck list. This is great. I get to turn one Moon or Trinisphere and follow up with the second one on the other one on the following turn. Opponent has Mulligan to 5. They are presumably looking for the card Force of Will, so as to not be dead to the first card that I play. No, both are totally defensible on turn 1. This isn't a one or the other scenario. They do different things. I will be playing the Moon on turn 1 in order to give them no opportunity to fetch. Nice. So I'm going to do some sequencing here. I'm going to play the Blood Moon before playing my land, and then get to play a snow-covered mountain that will stick around, and not just, like, lose out to my own moon. So unless my opponent draws another basic, we're in pretty good shape. So now we get to play the Trinisphere, which means if they ever tap out for a threat, whatever we do next will resolve. It also, you know, significantly reduces the power of Force of Will and everything that follows. I don't know whether or not they have a basic island. I don't remember seeing one in a previous game. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I have seen a basic forest, though. I don't want to just fire the Fiery Confluence off at the dome. Like, I guess there's some reason to, because, like, it can play around just, like, a Thoughtseize, but I don't know that my opponent is going to tap out to Thoughtseize me. So I think I'm actually supposed to go and put this Chalice on 2. So that Assassin's Trophy does not become an out to this Blood Moon. Now it's kind of a wash, because I have a second moon, but I wanted to insulate myself from that. Lord Darkview, what I mean by that is they draw a forest, they get to, like, take out the Blood Moon, and then, like, blue is back on for their deck. That's what I mean. Alright, a win condition. That is the third Force of Will down. There's only one more of those left. Hey, a win condition. Albeit not a powerful one. But, like, we can turn this sideways enough time and get there. And now that I have a second one of these, I'll play the first one out. We have lethal next turn with a Magus hit plus Confluence resolving. There's one Force of Will left. Doesn't have it. Yeah, we take this one down. Alright, I'm going to take 30 seconds and refill my water, and then we'll go into match 3 of our second set here. I will be right back. Alright, sorry about the delay. I'm back. Hello there. If you don't know me, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site for Legacy, Death, and Taxes. I'm usually streaming Legacy 3 days a week on this channel, usually Control and Prison strategies. Today we're going and testing out the London Mulligan rule for the first time, and in that round we had a mull to 4, where we still produced a turn 1 hate piece that cost 3 mana. So there's some serious changes in the way, like, mulligans past 6 work for decks like this. Unrelated to what's going on, what are your thoughts on Vileblade, Phil? I have not played the list yet. I'm skeptical, but it was like Bahra and Rich Shea were both doing well with it, so, like, there's gotta be something there. Or they're great Magic players who can win with a ham sandwich. You know, either way. Alright, so we're probably going to play against Miracles here. How all in am I willing to go on a Rabblemaster? So this is Miracles. I have double Chandra for later on. Like, it's just, like, so bad if it's, like, I'm just met by a turn 1 Swords to Plowshares. I don't know that I can keep this one. I say as I keep this hand. This is a little questionable. But I like the end game power of this hand. And if I assume that, like, this is legitimately going to go long, this is good. Well, maybe not good. That's probably not the right word. But fine. So, this is a good sign for me. This means I'm going to get some amount of damage value out of this Rabblemaster before it disappears. I expect that the next card down is probably just going to be a Terminus. Or maybe not. Wow, I'm not just getting, like, Terminus into Oblivion. Going all in on the Rabblemaster is working. Under normal circumstances, I would not play a second creature onto this board. However, I think the way that my opponent wins is, like, going to involve, like, a Swords to Plowshares or a Terminus in the next turn cycle. So I think just, like, trying to shut off that out is important. So now I've got 5 damage on the board, even if, like, a Snapcaster Mage Ambush Viper were to come in. Yeah, Arc Lightning, it's not always just the most degenerate things you can do as quickly as possible. Alright, so I usually board pretty lightly versus Miracles with the current configuration, just because, like, most of this stuff isn't really good. Your moon effects are relatively weak, so I usually end up trimming some of those for the post-board games. And I usually trim Magus of the Moon rather than Blood Moon. And a lot of people look at me funny for doing that, because they're like, well, this one is a creature, this one does damage. Yeah, but this one's easier to get off the battlefield. Blood Moon is a fine card against Miracles, specifically in this context, because it decreases the power of some of their cantrips, and there are some times where you cut them off of a color early on, and it makes a huge difference. And if I'm going to play one of these cards, I'd rather it stay around for a long time. You don't expect the Blood Moon plan to take your Miracles player off of one of their primary colors. It happens every once in a while. Alright, so what are we doing? So I can turn 1 Blood Moon, or turn 1 Rabblemaster. This is not an exciting hand, but it's good enough to keep. Let's get rid of our Spirit Guide here. And I'm going to play the Ancient Tomb and take a little bit of damage in order to, like, keep this land around if this Blood Moon does not resolve. But I fully expect this to just be Island and then Blood Moon resolves. Okay. So now we'll see if we've cut our opponent off of white in the immediate future, and the answer is no. So I don't think I just want to play Rabblemaster into losing to like Snap or Plow immediately. I kind of want to wait a turn or two and see if I draw a Chalice. So I'm going to jam another Moon effect here, just so a Disenchant doesn't get them out of this. Not that they would like necessarily use one on it, but now we'll start playing these and start trading these for cards. Yep. Sort of an interesting brainstorm timing. Alright, that makes more sense. Like, use it to shuffle away a card. And that's indeed what happened. We could see something like Snapcaster Swords to Plowshares or just another Swords to Plowshares here. Would love to draw a Chalice or Trinisphere. This is bad. This is very, very bad. That is a respectable top deck. The force is devastatingly good. So one of the problems with the current iteration of Red Prison is that it's not actually very good at answering Planeswalkers when they hit the battlefield. Some of the older, more prison-focused builds have Sorceress Spyglass in order to fight Planeswalkers, but I don't have anything like that. I'm probably about 2 turns away from this one snowballing beyond my control. Yikes. That's a lot of cards. So, because of these moons, our opponent isn't getting to, like, hand pick all of the cards here with the same degree of, like, free will that they used to be able to. But it's still rough for me. But by combining the cantrips and Jaces with shuffle effects from other cantrips, let's run this directly into probably a Snapcaster Mage. Nope, just another Swords to Plowshares. I think this one's over. I'm going to play it out because, like, I would love to know if my opponent is on, like, Mentors or Entreats or what their win condition is. Alright, Mentor. This one's probably officially over. I'm gonna, like, play one more turn out. Because a Fiery Confluence or something magically resolving would be cool. But, I don't foresee it happening. I also just want to, like, kind of showcase how silly Mentor is. Because if you're not familiar with, like, the degree of brokenness that is this card, it's fun to watch. And if I play out, my opponent might think that I have something like Sulfur Elemental to draw into. technically should have played this land first, but it's not like that would be double Spell Pierce anyway. I mean, I'll try. So predict, we'll target them, they'll draw 2 cards, and even if they don't play another spell, like, I might just, like, die to this stuff if I can't mop it up with a Confluence. Celestial Purge. That's very good to know about. So this is neat. Oh man, that's sexy. This was worth sticking around for. Hot damn. Well played. Well played. Stefano is a very, very good player, in case anyone isn't familiar with his work. I would like to play first. Turn 1 Trinisphere. Keep. Bridge is not good in this matchup. Like, if you play Bridge and you have 1 card, you will still get beaten to death by 1/1 monks. Real fine. I was going to look and see where the scry was based on habit, but that's not how this works anymore. Hey JD, welcome. Oh, neat. So the Trinisphere resolved, meaning that, like, the next things we play are also resolving. So that means I want to play this first to just get aggressive. And then I can play the Chalice of the Void on 1 as follow-up. Alright. So pay X is 1. Done. Pay the extra mana. Done. Chalice on 1 protects from a whole lot of stuff. We'll be doing that. An Oblivion Ring? That's kind of spicy. But Chalice of the Void stops somewhere on the order of 12 cantrips plus Swords to Plowshares, plus potentially things like Spell Pierce. I think this is a far better choice. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously with you there, JD. Well, that's a great draw. See if we're just going to get anything like Ambush Mage. or ambush Viper Snapcaster Mage coming in. Trade with the 2/2. So I actually think that's a small mistake. I think you're supposed to block the Goblin due to, like, Goblin Rabblemaster synergy. Do I actually want to cast this? No, I don't think I do. I think I'll just take the damage directly to the dome. I don't think we're at the point where this Chalice of the Void is going to be removed before they're dead. Okay. I take back the claim that it was a mistake. This makes sense with, like, Jace as an out to bounce. So I should play this out first, technically. It's possible that I should attack Jace for 1 there, but I don't think it matters either way. Yeah, Luinal, I mean, obviously, like, this is the line that I took. So I think it's better. But I would not fault anyone for just, like, attacking the Jace to, like, pressure it down and kill it. Alright, so just like the last league, we're starting out 3-0. See if we can do this one without falling apart. Yeah, so JD, just to follow up, I'm currently in job search. I've talked to a few places. Kind of what I have to decide is whether or not I want to, like, move and continue teaching, whether or not I want to, like, try to get something that's close to where I'm living now, whether or not I want to, like, try to career pivot. A lot of uncertainty. I'll figure something out. I'm not worried about that. But it's not quite, like, prime teacher hiring time yet, which means there aren't a ton of openings currently. But, like, when we get another 2 or 3 weeks down the line, that's when a lot of schools, like, start getting their stuff together and start really seriously posting a lot of openings. The number of teacher openings balloons, like, late April, early May. So I'm not worried about finding something somewhere. I've got my eye on one job in particular. Yeah, I'm trying to, keep up the energy. I'm taking a trip to Richmond this weekend to kind of do just that, relax, get out of the house. Gonna go to some barcades. Gonna hit up some of the local sites. I think there's a Poe museum I'm gonna check out. Some sort of botanical gardens. And, maybe meet up with a couple of friends for lunch or something like that. I'm looking forward to it. Relevantly, that means no Saturday stream this weekend. So I'll be back on Monday playing Alurin. We're playing against Ultimar. Turn 1 Chalice. Turn 2 Rabblemaster. Give me the keep button. I need the keep button. Oh my god, my opponent is on a Serum Powder deck. How does that change my decision? Does it change my decision? Can I see what they exiled? Oh, what the hell? Alright. So, we're playing against some sort of, like, Leyline's Opalescence deck. What does that mean for my strategy? I guess it means I want to hit hard and fast, or play like a turn 1 Trinisphere. I don't like. I literally have no idea what this deck is going to look like other than these cards that they've shown me. I guess like turn 1 Chalice stops crop rotation and Spoils of the Vault. So like maybe that's good enough to keep. Like I legitimately do not know. Like, am I supposed to mulligan to Moon so that they can't go and beat me with not Gaia's Cradle, Sarah Sanctum? I'm gonna keep. I'm probably gonna learn a lot. Alright, so those basically do nothing. So I think I'll go land, Chrome Mox. I don't think I'm going to want to throw away the City of Traders this game. Yeah, I don't know if this is good enough. But this clock should be solid. Like, I'll just have my opponent dead in 2 more turns. Like, play War Boss into play Fiery Confluence. Does Trinisphere matter? Trinisphere probably doesn't matter. Like, they have 4 mana. 4 mana is probably enough to cast anything that they can actually cast. Well, this is the first time I've ever been scared of, like, ley lines, legitimately. Yeah, Fiery Confluence could blow up Tree of Tales. That's true, but I don't think that's the plan. I think the plan is just, like, send this to their dome and try to goldfish them as quickly as possible. Alright, do I board in my ley lines to beat their ley lines? So I probably Scab Clan. And so is Opalescence going to turn all those into 4/4s? Opalescence. It's been a little while. Opalescence, Magic the Gathering. Yeah, so we'll turn them all into 4/4s. So, like, there may be some world where I board in Ensnaring Bridge, too. I don't know that that's actually good, but it is what it is. So, like, what's bad? Chandras are bad. That's just, like, very slow. Similarly, I should probably just, like, shave on some of this top end over here. I don't know that Chalice sucks because they have crop rotations and Spoils of the Vault. So I don't know that that's actually true. I think I trim, because I don't think I want to get rid of any of the threats. I don't think I want to get rid of any moons. Yeah, so this makes it a little hard for me to win with my own bridge in play, but hopefully I can just do that by building up a Rabble Master token army and getting there. Yeah, so like if we moon, they probably can't do cool things. Alright, so they have Serum Powdered away, an unplayable hand. Is a hand with a turn 1 Trinisphere good enough? So this hand goes turn 1 Trinisphere, turn 2 Ensnaring Bridge. That's probably good enough. So it's a powder again, but I don't have another powder. Bug. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. So I think my opponent has the option to try and Serum Powder again, even though they don't have one in hand. Oh, so maybe they have like Rest in Peace Helm in here too? No, I was telling my opponent that they can submit a report about the bug that they're experiencing. Alright. Oh, Leyline of Sanctity is another reason to like trim on Fiery Confluence, by the way. I wasn't actively thinking about that before, but it's definitely true. So do I still Trinisphere? Like, my opponent has 4 mana, so, like, the power of Trinisphere has been mitigated a lot. It might just be correct to, like, play the bridge. I'll have 3 cards in hand, meaning that only this one can attack. If my opponent plays Opalescence, I'll get hit for 4, 8, 12, 13, 14 damage. They only have 1 card left, though. Maybe I'm supposed to just start clocking. Let's start clocking. Yeah, we can lose to things. That's fine. I can safely play the bridge now in order to play around some Opalescence type shenanigans, though. The Blood Moon is insanely good. So I will draw a card next turn, so I can, like, play out a land without, like, stopping myself from attacking. Just in case anyone thought that's what was about to happen there. A crop rotation. Sure. What can you crop rotation for, friend? Horizon Canopy. Well, sure. You have an answer to a moon over there? No? No? And I don't think there's a way to win now for our opponent. Or at least I wouldn't know what it would be. Hey! Beat the Opalescence that they drew that turn. Strong. Alright, we're playing for the 5-0 now. So Red Prisons felt very good today. I hope that's been clear. Like, we're on a... We went 3-2 last league, but we started out 3-0. I think we were a little unlucky to not take down one of those. I felt like we deserved a 4-1 with the previous league. And now we're 4-0 in this league. A lot of these have been 2-1s, but I felt good in all of them. But I had Blood Moon in play then. So once Blood Moon was in play, they don't have the mana anymore. So that was probably their draw 4 turn. They didn't have that in hand last turn. But otherwise, yeah, they could get super cheeky and, like, I will flash in this Opalescence and block all your idiots. Ha 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 ha. Eat enchantments, you fool. Yeah, Royal Assassin, I've made a lot of good called shots tonight. Like, in terms of my sequencing. Some of that is my experience with the archetype, and you kind of get a gut feeling for when you need to take risks versus when you need to play conservatively with this deck after you've been playing it for a while. So, like, in that match, for example, I opened myself up to taking, like, 16-ish damage to an Opalescence if it was top-decked. But I did so because I recognized the importance of putting the pressure into play. So some of these things that, like, look like, oh man, I've called exactly what needs to happen here, are me, like, playing towards some of my better case scenarios. Alright, here we go. Alright, we're playing against Matt Soul, so we're going to be fighting real hard for the 5-0. We're going to be playing against Loam. I can turn 1 Trinisphere, but then I can do nothing with that. Like, a turn 1 Trinisphere will leave me with Chrome Box in play. So this is not an acceptable hand. Yeah, I'm going for Moon Darkview. So this hand can produce a turn 2 Chandra, which is powerful. But it costs me everything. Well, I guess not technically everything, but basically everything. Yeah, so there's going to be 1, potentially 2 basic lands, and Moxen. I think I shipped this one. Alright, I will keep 5 of these cards. So, Tomb Petal Magus lets me go and do everything on turn 1 that I want to do. Trinisphere is not particularly important in this matchup, so I'm going to ship that one for sure. And then I'll ship one of these soul lands. Probably the City of Traders. Ooh. This is going to be like a white Eldrazi deck. Okay, so we're playing against the Cleric deck, which means that some of my Mulligan decisions were not optimal. So the Magus shuts off the port. Which I guess matters. It's not going to cut my opponent off of colored mana, though. But it will reduce the power of my Ancient Tomb. I could also just, like, try to sequence Rabblemaster into Magus. But I'll lose out a lot from this port if my opponent doesn't play another card. It's better use of my mana if nothing goes wrong, though. I think that's a close decision. I'm going to play the Magus. I'm scared of this port, and I don't necessarily know what the rest of my opponent's hand looks like. I don't think I want to play a Rabblemaster. I think I'm just going to pass the turn here. If I draw a land, I'll imprint the Rabblemaster on this and then play a Chandra. I think we've gotten a little lucky on this one. There's plenty of 1 white mana threats that my opponent could have drawn. Alright, these Abrades are going to be hot. So I like Abrade a lot, and I'll probably play Ensnaring Bridge. I'm going to see what the last iteration of this deck looked like on his end. So the last iteration he was playing has a lot of different creature types, leans heavily on Cavernous Souls, which actually means that the Blood Moons will be of some utility, and not too many ways to answer artifacts. That's good. So a Bomb, a Spyglass, a Council's Judgment. Holy Light's good to know about. Okay. The one I'm looking at does not have Arbiter. That's a good point. The previous Arbiter version was this one, which also had a slight black splash for Pontiff, and slightly more artifact answers in the board. I don't want Chalice. That's the easy cut. I think the cuts from there are a little harder. I think I'm going to trim War Boss, but keep Rabblemaster. The moon effects are probably medium, but it was likely cripplingly good that game. I'm also not sure if just like cutting the Trinispheres is better than anything else. I don't have persistent red mana with this hand, which I don't love. I don't know that I actually want to Trinisphere, like go all in on a Trinisphere with no red mana. But this bridge is probably great. I think I'm going to ship this one and just try to find something that's a little bit more consistent. This is an unexciting hand, but probably keepable. And I have to send one of these to the bottom. I don't see this being a quick Goblin Rabblemaster win hand. I see this one going long. Oh man, if that's all that's going on over there, like, great news for me. So I kind of want to avoid getting wastelanded or ghost quartered this entire game by playing a Blood Moon this turn. No, I can Simian Spirit Guide to pay for it. So like, I'm 100% playing out this Ancient Tomb this turn. Because I'm either going to Braid Thalia or Blood Moon. And I think I Blood Moon. Like, my opponent is going to have 8 effects that will strip away my mana. 12 if you count the ports. Like, that deck is very land heavy. And I think I just want to mitigate my opponent's ability to muck with my stuff. Killing the Mox is an interesting line. I hadn't considered that. I wish I would have considered that last turn. I'm going to go ahead and clear the Thalia. I think it's very greedy to go for, like, keep the Thalia around and try to lock my opponent under it. Alright, so I need to hit some more land drops here. Mana! Please? So I can play a bridge, but then I have 4 cards in hand, and I die. Unfortunate. So when I'm on the play, do I want to change anything? These Trinispheres are definitely medium. Maybe if I think my opponent doesn't have Stoneforge Mystic, I'm supposed to go and play the War Bosses. Like, the only thing that's nice about Trinisphere is that if I play it on turn 1 and my opponent is playing a hand that is, like, really powered by a Mox, I get to shut that off. I'm not sure about this decision. I'm going to err towards being more aggressive here. I don't think the Chalice is good. So I can go just turn 1 Moon, see if that's good. Or I can turn 1 War Boss into turn 2 or later Moon. I mean, either way, I'm going to keep the hand. I think in terms of my sequencing and mana, I'm supposed to lead Tomb, Petal, War Boss, turn 2 Moon. Because I can't do it the other way around. So even though this looks bad, we're very far ahead on board. Like, we have 4 permanents to our opponent's 0, and it takes something like a Mox Diamond to try to dig them out of that. They might be playing towards something like a Holy Light at this point. Fiend Hunter, not bad. So what happens if I attack in? If I attack in, I can lose a 1/1. That's fine. So basically, as long as I hit land at some point this game, our opponent is just dead to the Fiery Confluence that I have. Is my opponent dead now? So I abrade Fiend Hunter, I get this back, I get to go and just attack in. Yeah, that does it, right? Because I get a token, one of these is blocked, I have exactly 3 damage. Got him. Alright, there's the 5-0. Which I'm happy about, because I haven't had one in a while. I have not had a great Magic run recently. Alright, so, closing thoughts on London Mulligan so far. I think the impact is not particularly seen in a single mulligan. So I think, like, in a single mulligan, you end up with better hands on average than you did in the old system. Like, that's pretty clear. But I don't think it's, like, unreasonable. However, the ability for me to mull to 4 and then be able to consistently Trinisphere, Chalice, Blood Moon, whatever I want to do, that is a little silly. So, like, when we mulled to 4 and we produced what was it, a turn 1 Trinisphere, I think we did, or something like that in one of the matchups. Like, that's a little ridiculous. And the power of the London Mulligan is really, really seen in those sorts of hands. On the other hand, though, our opponents were able to mulligan more aggressively towards Force of Will to balance out some of the broken and degenerate things that I was doing. So I think a lot of our opponents were like mulliganing to 6, and I think they ended up with better than average 6-card hands as a result. So I think we're in the Wild West right now, where people are going to be exploring the power specifically of the London Mulligan. So I think for the first, few days that this change is up on Magic Online, we're going to see some weird stuff, like that Leylines deck that I went and played against. But beyond that, once we get a few days past that, we might see, some longer-term implications of what this is going to be doing. So Captain QC says, basically, if you're not doing turn 1 Broken Thing or Force of Will, you're screwed. Well, maybe I wouldn't go that far, but I think right now it's better to be doing something powerful and degenerate or to have a good amount of interaction for those sorts of decks. It's very interesting. I'm coming around to the idea that a medium 7 is nearly always worse than going to 6. Well, it depends on what sort of deck you're playing, right? So, like, tonight, I didn't mulligan as much as I thought I was going to, because so many of my opening hands were just reasonable. But once I did mulligan, I felt like I had a much greater control of my destiny and a better ability to play Magic than I did previously. Will the London Mulligan rule hurt D&T? Probably. Like, not D&T itself, but, like, splash damage from the way the metagame might change. Like, if there's more, like, turn 1 degenerate combo, D&T historically is pretty bad about that. I didn't answer the question before, but, like, someone earlier up was posting, like, hey, should we go and consider some cards like Orum's Chant or something like that in order to have more quick interaction? And I don't know that, like, that's the right card, but D&T sideboards might need to adjust a little bit in the coming weeks. Luckily, if you're playing in the GP, that's not something you're going to need to be concerned with because, well, this is a test. It is not actually in occurrence for the GP, which is sort of frustrating for people who want to do last-minute testing because they're playing with a different mulligan rule and blah, 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 blah. But here we are. I'm at least happy that I get to be, like, testing this rule because I think the data generated from it is going to be pretty big. Sorry, I want to check something real quick. So I hope you enjoyed the content tonight. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I'll be back on Monday. If you enjoyed the content, please follow. I'm usually doing Legacy 3 days a week, although I won't be streaming Saturday due to going out of town to a Richmond trip. And if you're really enjoying my content, please do something to support me, whether that's becoming a subscriber to my channel or doing a donation deck list. The financial support means a lot right now because I'm currently job hunting and currently unsure about what exactly I'm doing more than a month or so down the line. So thanks, folks. I'm actually going to turn you over to one of my opponents from earlier, and I hope you enjoy.